Welcome everyone to our session, What's in Our Workspace, leveraging integrated talent management, business dashboards, and collaborative workspaces to drive engagement, productivity, and agility. My name is Arun Jyoti, and I'm the lead SF consultant at HR Strategies Consulting. We certainly appreciate your time, you taking the time to join us today. Before we get started, I would like to take care of a couple of housekeeping items. First, if you have any questions during the course of the presentation, please add them to the chat. We will also save time for the questions at the end for any that we do not get through over the course of the session. We will share both a recording of the session and a copy of the slides later this week. Okay, so the next slide. Okay, I would like to start by introducing my co-presenter, Dan Whitmarsh. Dan is a solution engineer at HR Strategies Consulting with over 20 years experience helping clients achieve positive business outcomes through employee engagement initiatives, talent management, process reengineering, and adoption of HR technologies. In terms of today's session, our plan is to give you a brief introduction to HR Strategies Consulting. We will cover little history on talent management software capabilities and how it drives people result. We will look at building a business case for integrated talent management solution model and provide you with a tool to help you assess your organization digital transformation status. So let's get started. Dan?
So, thanks, AJ. Yeah, so I wanted to give us a quick and brief introduction to HR Strategies Consulting so you know where this information is coming from and how it got to you. We've been in the consulting space for over 20 years, and we've been pivoting and reimagining HR for a lot of mid to large size organizations around the planet, out of Canada, the US, Australia, India, Ireland, England, and lots of organizations that have global capabilities. And what really we have is two practices that have come together and merged. On the left, you'll see a lot of information about our human capital management practice. And this is where we really cut our teeth and we built programs around total reward, pay equity, employee experiences and engagement, executive leadership and coaching, strategic planning. We'll help organizations get ready or do preparedness sessions as they embark on their technology journey. But on the right, we also have an HR IT technology practice, which helps companies do actual system selection. We are an SAP Gold partner, so that is one of our preferred partners, but we do work agnostically across all platforms. We'll do technology implementation. We have customer advocacy programs that help clients with adoption, project oversight. We will do technology reviews, roadmaps. We have certified process change management specialists on board, and we also definitely do training and support. AJ, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually take over the deck and share it from my side, if that's okay. So that I don't have to ask you to drive for me, if that's all right.
Yeah, that should be okay.
Yep, so what I'm going to do here is just push back up that same version of the deck we were just looking at. And really, over the course of the last several months, I don't know if you've been following this series, but we do host a series of events and we've walked through a variety of different issues. They are all accessed as archives and be visible on our website. But we really started way back in January, February, helping organizations strategize around the priorities of what's coming in the 2021 HR predictions calendar from all the big analyst houses. And then we went into the whole employee life cycle. So as we walked around the circle, starting with hiring, we went from the candidate experience, the recruiter's experience, into onboarding. Then we went to learning and bringing on new hires, what we need to put them through in terms of learning management. Then we talked about performance management. More recently, we talked about pay and benefits and the total rewarding cycle. And then after that, we went into programs around succession and internal mobility. We talked about ways we can empower employees with opportunities to engage with the organization and perform at their highest. And then we went into a whole session on change management and how we can leverage change management to help execute and implement these modules, as well as adopt and maximize or get maximum adoption from your employee base and give you some type of resiliency and change strategy so that you're equipped to deal with new and oncoming changes in the future. So having said that, where we're going today is into integrated talent management. So I know this is a really busy slide, but I am a solutions engineer, and I think they revoke my license if I don't have at least one overly complicated slide. So I'm done with that requirement for this presentation. And today we're going to talk about how all of these elements come together to make a holistic system that helps manage the employee experience and delivers bottom line results to the business, the management, and also to the employee stakeholders. So let's get into this. Our journey today, as AJ put out for us early, we just wanted to revisit quickly some of the famous software models in the marketplace. By no means a definitive search, but a quick introduction. And then we're going to talk about the impact of these integrated talent management systems and how they impact human experience management. That's HXM. We're going to talk about that a lot. Work and workspaces. And then we'll talk about the business case for integrated talent management. And then we're going to take action using data. We've got a nice little piece for you that connects all of the examples from the SAP suite, because that's definitely our expertise on how these people and places and practices of HR come together to deliver a holistic experience and its impact on the business. AJ is then going to give us a great tour of the system and the platform. And then finally, after that, we have a kind of assessment that we're going to leave with you. It's an Excel document, very easy to use, and it's going to help you start your journey and understand where you are in terms of your digital transformation. We'll round up with some question and answers and what's next on the cycle. So let's jump into this. All right, everybody ready? How are we doing for questions and comments? Anything going on there, AJ, in the line?
No. Not
at
the moment.
Okay, good. So yeah, please feel free to use the chat and the questions, and AJ will man it while I'm doing some of the talking, and vice versa as we get to the end, and we'll do a summary to try and recap and make sure everything's covered. So as we talked about software, you know, it came into existence in the HR function for a lot of reasons. Primarily to start automating practices. And initially, the big investment was that you would buy a system and you would install it locally, meaning inside of your office or your organization or on your own hardware. And this was great because it gave you very tight controls over the platform. And it, over time, it gave you, because there was a big initial outlay of buying that technology, the cost of ownership was very favorable as you went over time. But the cons of this were numerous as well. It's difficult to evolve a platform that's installed locally, which is very different than the software service model. Often they don't play well with others, meaning if you started to have other modules that you needed them to talk to, it wasn't always a great experience to do so. Hardware maintenance actually started to balloon as technology changed. We needed to speed up delivery and processes. So sometimes you were incurring extra costs for maintenance and upgrades. And then finally, we started to layer in industry compliance on how data is managed for employees. And that added new compliance elements to the equation that frankly made this difficult or challenging. And there was also the perpetual loss of data because you don't have a duplication or backup somewhere else in the cloud. So you were vulnerable in many ways. And most of all, it just didn't seem scalable. You couldn't leverage this if your company grew from 50 to 500 to 5,000 over the course of a couple of years. So, everybody has seen in the back office somewhere one of these machines that's held together with duct tape and binder twine. And these are bad things in today's perspective. We want to avoid that. So after we kind of went from on-premise, we started to get into the cloud-based delivery of where you just bought licenses to software and you access things from the cloud. And this allowed us to tackle the major HR modules in a variety of different ways. So here I've got a schematic up with some of the more common modules and how they talk and different points where they connect. Recruiting does connect to internal mobility for sure, but learning also should lead to internal mobility, onboarding between those two things. So if you bought a best of breed vendor for any one of these specific functions, that's great because, the pros are you're guaranteed to get very close to what you really need. You could get very specific and make sure that you got the desired functionality that was most important to your organization. But you were limited. It may have also been the purpose or the case where you didn't need these systems to communicate very much with each other. So there was limited need to manage data between them. But as we grew the practices and scaled, suddenly we found that we're stuck with too many user interfaces and we have too big of a training footprint to get this executed. And people just don't want to adopt or take on these technologies. Then we started managing disparate systems, which gave us difficulties in integrating. And every time one system upgraded, your integration to other platforms broke. I did remember reading a report, and I wish I could get it in writing, that a very veteran technologist analyst in the space actually told me one day that he anticipated that integrations are often 4 times the annual cost of software licenses. Then we're faced with market consolidation. I'm sure everybody has bought software from a vendor that eventually got bought by a bigger, different vendor in the system. So vendors change and then your platform becomes obsolete. This can happen. And then you've also got multiple vendors to manage, which can be a change because they don't always necessarily want to play well and work together. But the biggest problem by far is that your HR transactions are over here, top right, but your work is down here. It was almost like best of breed systems were an afterthought of the work that you were doing. It just didn't bring that together. You did your work, and then at the end of the day, you had to go over to all the best of breed solutions and document and reduplicate your efforts to put them into those systems. So then, this is a great slide. I've borrowed this from Josh Bearson. It's Untangling the HR Tech Market 2021. And it's one of the slides in a very powerful deck. And he's a very learned and appreciated fellow in the industry. But if you look at this, I think what's really helpful here is we look at technology and telemanagement systems in the 1900s to early 2000s. It was about automation of practices, right? We just wanted to get things automated so that we were having a reliable system that tracked and maintained data. But then we started to move 2004 to 12. Dates are, subject to interpretation, I suppose. And we went to integrate. This is where people started to put systems and integrations together, largely at the work of the HRXM consortium that allowed for standards in the industry for data systems to communicate in the HR technology space. And then as we've moved beyond 2012 into early 2017, this is probably where most of us are. We're trying to do people management. We're trying to develop systems that engage the users and make it nice for them to use so they're getting a quality experience when they use something instead of an awful encounter. But more realistically, where we should be looking for in the future is not just the ability to engage people, but it's the ability to enable them to perform at a higher level across different systems in the marketplace. So, this is SAP's module or version of this map. We have all of these modules plus many ancillary add-ons. They connect and are driven by competency, skills, and best practices. We have a core HR and payroll practice that deliver people analytics. We have expense management, health and safety management, and survey assessments. Just so that you understand where some solutions and all different vendors that you're working with will have variations of this model, and it's really important to understand how they come together. So what's the glue that holds all these modules together? I kind of gave it away in that last slide. It's about the skills and competencies that you're leveraging and how they're deployed to drive learning and career development or personal development or strategic development for individuals who might belong to a high performance track or have a career plan in place. And as we look at these, they're aligned goals that match up and deliver what the corporation or the organization wants. And they're SMART, meaning specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And then really, we're using these as the standardized measures via performance cycles so that we're universal across the organization or within teams of how we want to define what good performance looks like. And we want to give coaching and feedback to those who are falling short of the mark so that they know where to go and what to do and what type of learning to take to get to the right next steps. And then this enables merit-based compensation. So once we've got a uniform and well flushed out system in place, we can do compensation that says, hey, if people are at a 4 to 5 on the employment scale, they're entitled to X% of merit, and we can equip managers with the ability to do this. So then we've got succession planning that ties to that. So we've done performance, we've done compensation, we now grade our employees on the skills and competencies they have, and we know critical roles or career goals that people have requirements of being a certain level in a specific competency, and we can use those same mappings from the performance and comp cycles into succession planning. And this is now actually enabling us to bring what's called the whole self. And I'm going to talk more about that. It's not, an elusive thought, but it is a very powerful thought that enables them to come to work as a whole individual, not just a single person who does one thing really well, right? We all know that person who has great interview skills or great performance review ratings, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're doing everything else properly in the system. So this is really important because the whole work includes, but is not limited to life events, career aspirations, rewards, recognition, managing your leave, what type of benefits you want, because as you start as an individual contributor who might be a single person and go through whatever iterations of spousal agreements you have and children, benefits change with those events. And it also brings in your values and opinions because they're part of the survey and assessment tools that are deployed throughout these cycles to understand where you are and what you think about the organization is doing and your role within that organization. So if we look at this people-centered philosophy, we've got skills, competencies, and learning. We've got goals and performance, time, benefits, careers, plans, rewards, and recognition. And yes, this is kind of breaking this down, but this is the whole self coming to work. It's all of these things, and they don't just exist as single entities or separate bullets in your life or separate moments in your calendar. They're integrated as a whole person. And, there's a great HR consultant and a poet, ironically. His name is David White with a W-H-Y-T-E. And I remember hearing him talk once, and he talked about, the big consulting agencies were great to work with. He says, but they have this bad habit of going out and spending exorbitant money and time to find people who have these really broad ranges of skills, hobbies, interests, and values, and then they bring them to work and they force them to do one thing over and over again, 9 to 5, and ignore all the other contributions that they could have by bringing in their whole self. So we've moved away from that, and hopefully your organizations are moving away from that as well. But when you look at that model and how these things intersect, we've missed one critical element, right? Work. How did the work start to embed itself into the talent management practices? Or maybe the better question is, how did talent management practices embed themselves into the work that you do on a daily basis? For one, I can remember before Outlook, when calendars weren't integrated into Outlook, it was just merely an email feature. And the moment that you could actually start to build calendaring and do it in real time and have it display in real time inside the work you were doing was a game changer. Up until then, we were managing it in writing on a desk pad that was kept underneath your blotter on your desk to see your calendaring events. And, if you don't pay close attention to time, you often miss some appointments, right? So now we're talking about a real significant feature, the leveraging of work. So just out of curiosity, feel free to jump into the chat or the show of hands here. How many of you still write notes on things that you need to do throughout the day or the week or the month? Out of curiosity, do you put Post-it notes around your laptop? As I bounce through various offices, I still see that as a real common practice. Other people use notebooks. I see a lot of people take notes and they keep a book and a journal, and so they can always refer back to it. I see other people who are a little more tech savvy and they actually use the task feature right in Outlook and set dates and times for events to mark them as completed or not completed. Others use workbooks, spreadsheets, and work plans. That's obviously getting into bigger projects. And I'm sure at some point, you're using all of the above. And this is where we're starting to think about the what ifs, right? Here's a screenshot from inside the performance management module for SuccessFactors, where you manage your activities. You see the big green button here where it says create activities? You can create activities, rank and stack them, and then actually track these things against your goals and your objectives. You'll also see there's start meetings. So that conventional one-on-one meeting that you used to have on a week, or you should be having with your manager on a weekly or monthly basis, can be a culmination of reviewing the activities activities that you're doing. You can also see here, if I click to view by goal, it aligns them up to my corporate goals, which is starting to get me on my way to making, goals a common obtainable practice in the organization. These goals can be cascaded throughout the organization, set up to drive a common business goal, which is obviously the big purpose here. So we're actually starting to intertwine the activities that we do on a daily basis with the human capital management or human experience management systems that are driving business results and changing the landscape in HR. So as you think about this, it's enabling what we call that people-centered philosophy of work. This is the SAP model where we're changing, developing, paying, rewarding, onboarding, and recruiting. Those are the kind of talent management table stakes or modules we're talking through. But on the left, we've got conversational AI rolled in. We've got monitoring, we've got machine learning nudges and predictions. You might log into a system and it might say to you suddenly, hey, Dan, you haven't taken any time off in over 60 days. Here's access to leave. Or, hey, you applied 2 weeks ago for this job in internal mobility. Check in, follow up on this and see where your status is. So it's starting to leverage the transactions that we're doing about work, in work, inside of the system. And then it's giving us the opportunities we're going to see with AJ's walkthrough or quick highlight of the platform, is giving us the opportunity to put voice and feedback to this so we can communicate not just one way through the organization, but two ways. It's going to give us the opportunity to do custom content and collaboration and set up communities, all combining your organizational data, which is the role you're in, the teams you're on, the jobs you perform at, the products you manage or work with, and your X data, which is your individual experience with this. So let's talk a little bit. Sorry, I've been going on hard. Any comments or questions in the chat at all, AJ? We're all good?
Yes, Dan. You're good to go.
Good. So a couple quick statistics of why this is really important to do. 17% increase in higher productivity per employee if you give them a human experience management instead of a human capital management system, right? Gives them the opportunity to generate more revenue per employee. These are all sources from a recent Gallup study. And then it decreases by 40% your turnover, and obviously impacts positively engagement, which impact productivity and revenue per employee. But the sad part is, as we bounce around the world and we talk to business leaders and managers, we're finding that 84% of them say that this is an imperative we need to do now, but only 9% are actually doing something about it. So when you think about this model, it's about not acting on experience data and organizational data. It's about listening to, then understanding the reasons for, and then taking that experience data from your individual teams and employees, combining it with where they are and how they're performing in the organization, and then acting on that data. So really what we're doing is transforming human capital management into human experience management, right? And if we look at this model, we're bringing four things to the table: an open platform and community, a deep and innovative strategic HR capability to lead the change and execute communicative strategies, an experience-first approach where individuals can drive what they need to, and then we're driving this with compliance because we control a lot of the compliance-based pieces on the back end of how HR practices or financial practices are conducted through the SAP platforms. So that's a lot to digest. Let's talk about how these things practically connect inside of an SAP environment. If we look at the ripple effect of how different talent management modules connect to other modules, I'm just going to give you some quick high bullets. These can be 1-hour WebExes in their own. We've got recruiting. We're driven by key skills and competencies required by the business to drive recruitment. We've got assessments of fit, and we're evaluating them of equal or more importance than the actual skills on the resume. And then we're doing data-driven workforce planning, which shapes the way job descriptions and future recruitment will happen. From an onboarding perspective, we're integrating work tools with the actual work, fostering a company and showing employees that there's collaborative efforts happening. And then we're bringing new hire curriculum geared in to help assess and impact those skills and competencies that an individual has. From a learning and development perspective, we're tying learning to gaining proficiencies in your organizational skills and competencies, and establishing career paths that are the key measurement blocks to help move things forward, and then using them again in succession and role readiness to assess whether somebody is suitable or ready to move on in the organization and assume a broader portfolio of work. From a performance management, we're aligning goals to the organization, and we're doing that daily activity tracking. So work is actually happening in the system, about the system. And we're doing, tracking what becomes marked as activities. When they get completed, they become achievements, so that at the end of the year, when we do that performance management cycle, we're not doing a 364-day rear view mirror checkup on what happened this year. Now I got to write a review on it. It's all documented, chronicled right there for you. And those show up on the PM cycle. We've established feedback and continuous performance management so that we build off of the steps. Instead of waiting for them to derail, you can get feedback along the way to make sure and coach people to get them into the right steps. And this all leads to workforce planning. So we're actually starting to index your existing expertise inside your organization from a skills and competencies perspective, and then allows you to forecast. If we needed to do this in our business, we can model out data to see what that looks like, okay? The holy grail is really around engagement retention. You have to give your employees a clear line of sight. They have to see the goals, and they have to know that achieving goals is the norm, and it's expected, and it's going to happen daily, weekly, monthly, and annually. And then they have to document how you get there with opportunities for feedback. They have to have easy to use tools all in one spot. It has to be intuitive and exciting, because companies that have cutting edge technology always win the race with those that don't. Efficient processes. Really, we just want to combine work with the work tools. And that's sadly what's been missing from human capital management, but it's coming as we start to use human experience management. And all of this will equip you to be able to take your employees into a full-time experience. So last couple slides here for me, and then we're going to get you into a demo, a preview with AJ. Top 10 reasons. So I'm just going to cover this pretty quickly here. Unified work experience. We want to make sure that you're piggybacking off that human experience management, that you've got consolidated disparate systems that are launched from a single platform so that everything is accessible from one spot. We're going to do deeper employee engagement because we're now enabling two-way communications. Remember the day where you used to just get information cascaded to you and there was no opportunity for feedback? This platform, you will see, is an abundant and replete with thumbs, likes, just like a very social media platform, or allows for comments to come back. It gives guided experiences, which really helps streamline processes across the organization. It allows for you to do faster, easier HR communications with little or no involvement from IT. You can do experiential employee learning, which really leverages learning and shares. And you can also direct learning towards project assignments or alignments and communications to common goals. It gives you a great view into easier onboarding, cross-boarding, and offboarding. It really helps with increased productivity because it's a customizable digital workspace that's available anywhere an employee goes. They log in and all of their work shows up in one spot for them. It leads to higher employee job satisfaction because it enables them to find their flow and their own applications. There is personalization to it because we all do work differently. We all like to jump into things from different start points, lunch points, and the interface gives them that capability. And then it's flexible and collaborative. And this, by the way, is just a short list that we've made. There is, I'll give you this link, it will be available, and it opens up, if I did it right, into a nice little PDF on the SAP website where you can see all of this in a nice kind of visual way that you can print, download, or save. So, I almost need to stop and have a glass of water here. That's a lot of talking I've done. Let's see what's next on the agenda. We have got, oops, there we go. Work Zone demo time. AJ, are you ready to go?
Yes, Dan, thanks for that insight. I'll just share my screen.
You bet.
All right. Okay, there we go. Okay. Dan, can you see my screen? I hope.
I can, you're all good.
All right, thanks. Okay, so here you see the Work Zone screen, which is nothing but If I have to tell about Work Zone in 3 words, it is an integrated collaborator. It integrates collaboration processes and solutions. Okay. So why I'm saying this, you will get to know as we go through the demo of this Work Zone. Okay. So let's see this case study. Okay. So the system which you are seeing is a Work Zone system, which has been set up by ACE Corporation. So ACE Corporation has used Work Zone as a collaborative platform to bring in their employees transformation and digital transformation. As part of that, they have used Work Zone in this way. So how they used is what we're going to see it. Okay. So if you see at the landing page of the Work Zone, it is a welcome page, which gives the insight about the news, which employees can go and look at it. So if this is the scrolling image, which gives an information, suppose say if they want to click on it, it will give an insight about the open enrollment. So this is nothing but a company news if I have to put it in one word. Okay, if you want to inform an employee or give a news information about the company, where it is going, what are the strategies, and what are the news which is going on, and what are the events which is happening. So all those things you can inform. So the first thing, if you could see, is an open enrollment period, which is the benefits are key important things for employees, right? So if you are announcing some of the open enrollment period for the benefits, that has been scoped here. So when an employee is looking at this information news, they can rate this content and they can read it, this information, the news, and they can also comment it. So here we go. So that the first thing is met, which is like a two-way communication, which Dan was saying, that there is a two-way communication of whatever we are sharing with all the employees, right? And then you have this information, which is like so basically ACE Corporation is into power and power generation and wind generation, like solar energy, right? So when they have used the Work Zone screen to share the information in such a way, like what is going inside the business, what is innovation ideas, which is like if somebody has an innovation idea, they are telling them to join here so that you can go and contribute to the innovation ideas into the space, which is separately an innovation space here, which is called ACE Innovation Challenge. So this space will have all the ideas and all the news, all the if you want to post an idea as an employee, you can give an idea by clicking on add an idea, and then your idea will be posted, right? So that way you have the spaces wherein you are giving an in-depth FAQ about your business, leadership series, and innovation space for an employee. So you're giving a space for an employees to go and explore about the company and take the innovation ideas from the employee. Again, we are meeting two communication channels here, like a top-down and a bottom-up communication, which is a two-way communication. And you have blogs here. So employee can write a blog. That is an amazing feature which Work Zone brings in, wherein you can have an employees can go in and write a blog about, suppose they have this any of the information, or they want to share information about the entire thing, what they have an experience about any investment strategy or any other strategy which they came across, they can come and write a blog and share it. And again, the other employees can comment on it, right? So they can share a blog, they can see most viewed content, which is nothing but the information, and most liked content. Another good thing is you can also take video and have a video kind of information. So then what we are doing is we can share the content in the information on a text wise, on a document way, or on a video base as well. So this is the space which used as information to share as a video, suppose say a CEO video, or it could be a news video which has been published over the article or something like that, right? And you have knowledge-based articles. So knowledge-based articles give an insight about what is this, suppose if there is a problem, and how they can categorize and how they resolve those problems. So those kind of symptoms, environment, cause, resolutions. Again, here there is a two-way communication which gives employees to comment on what is, suppose say the solution didn't work, they can comment on it. So this will helpful in IT cases, right? and you have any other HR announcement here, R&D news and recommended content and all. And the bigger thing is, here is a space for an employee to share anything what they want to share at the company wide level. It could be a news, or it could be a document, it could be in the form of an image, or it could be in the form of document, or it could be in the form of video. So they can go and share the information to all the employees in an organization. So whatever they share here will be visible to all the employees for commenting, sharing. So if you see this page, it is just a combination of your Facebook and the LinkedIn. So Facebook is all about giving, sharing the information, and LinkedIn is the same, right? So you see, when you see this entire screen, it looks the similar fashion, but it is to your organization insights only, wherein you can collaborate within your organization, share the information within your organization, and do a productive discussion with your employees and other strategic partners, right? So then employees can add a blog, they can track it down, they can create a poll as well, like the one which you see here. Somebody has created a poll and asked, what do you feel about working from home these days, right? So it increases productivity, a lack of in-person collaboration. So some of them, you can create a poll and you can get the vote as well. So you would know, suppose say you have a strategic decision which needs to be made at the corporate level, you can just take information by posting a poll to the wider audience as an employees, and then you can take the feedback from them and do further analysis of your strategic decisions. All right, so this is about your home page. And next comes your HR space. So ACE has used this collaboration digital transformation work zone system in such a way that they want to have different line items, line of businesses, like your HR space is here, wherein employees can come here and look for any of the HR key contacts, or they want to see the compensation guide for employees, wherein managers can go in and see the document which is related to your employee compensation guide and upcoming suppose if you have a compensation timeline, you want to distribute the process document to all the managers at a wider level, or to the employees, how it works. You can share the process documents here. You can mention the information which is specific to HR space here, and you can have HR service desk information here. You can also have, suppose an employee is an onboarding candidate, they can click on here and go into the work onboarding space. Similar to that, you can go to the learning space by clicking on learning. Then the employees can go into the learning space to see all the learning content and learning information like your TED Talks, right? And you have all the blogs. And if they want to share anything which is specific to learning, suppose say they have a question about the learning courses, or they have a question about any of the content, they can come and post it here. All right. So similarly, you have IT space here. So IT space is nothing but, suppose say an employee wants to have get connected with the IT department to know about who is a key contact person, who is like, they want to open a ticket, they can click on it and open the ticket, and they can see all the FAQs, which are like your code of conduct of your systems or securities. What are the policies and procedures around all the screens? You can all the IT policies can be placed at one place, and then you can use one space as an IT solution, right? And next comes your about. So about is nothing but your companies. So you can give historical information about your company, how it has started, how old is your company, what is the strategies, what are the organization strategies, what are the policies and procedures like code of conduct, business conduct, or it could be a policies, and it could be a leave policy, or it could be any other policies like reimbursement policy. Any policies, you can place it here, and when an employee clicks on it on a single button, they can read through the policies and they can rate it and they can comment on it, right? So they can see the policy, click on it, and they can run it. And they can also see the messages from CEO. So if they click on it, they see a message from a CEO. It could be in the form of a video, or it could be in the form of text like this, which we have just seen. And you can comment on this, right? You can rate on this and you can comment as well. So that's about your about screen. And the help screen is, suppose say any other help for manager, you can give it, and help for employees, how they can approach other people, and help other related help tools, reporting tools, and all that stuff. You can manage those. And then next comes your workspace. I'll come to the success factor. So workspace is another page wherein if you have workspace, if I have to tell in one word, it is nothing but your desk. So whatever you place in your desk, like Anya here is the employee who has logged in. So whatever she plays, suppose say you have any other important documents or any other documents like your sales document, HR documents, which are personalized to you, which needs to be accessed on a day-to-day basis, then you can come and access here and you can add those information as a personal space. So it is simply your space of work wherein you can manage. And then you have applications. So applications is nothing but if you're an admin of Work Zone, you will get this. And if you want to see the notifications, you can click on notification and you can see all the notifications, like it could be a feeds or it could be any other events. You will see all the notifications here. And then you have workspaces. So workspaces is nothing but, so we have seen on the home page, the information, whatever is shared at a wider audience. That means it is shared at a company across. Suppose say you have a HR space or suppose say a mentoring program, or it could be a pre-hiring program which HR wants to conduct only with the pre-hired candidates. So they can go into this workspace, and this space will have only limited employees who are like pre-joiners. So then you can engage them before they get into the before they become an employee. Actually, you can do all the onboarding stuff. So all the onboarding process documents, HR contacts, they can go and see who are the key contacts here, like your HR business partner, recruiter, and planning process and company information. So we are giving an insight to the onboarding candidates in the pre-hire onboarding group before they get ready for the actual employee space, right? So that way you can have a closed space. You can also have an open space like ACE Innovation Challenge. Just now we have seen that, suppose say you want to have an innovation space to get all the ideas, knowledge articles, or any other information which you want to collaborate within your employee space, but you want to create a separate space so that you can have a documentation, all the information, and you want to have a separate documentation and information at one place, and you will create a separate space called ACE Innovation Challenge. So you can create a closer spaces just like your WhatsApp group, right? So you create a space and you share the information with your close HR teams or sales teams like that. So you can create your own space here, closed space, and whatever the information is shared is within this space itself, right? Next, you have tools. So suppose an employee wants to share the information on knowledge articles, they can go and create a knowledge article and share it with wider audience, and they can go to the calendar and see their calendar. Suppose say you have a leave, it is automatically updated here, and if you have the learning thing, it is automatically integrated and it will show the task, etc. So that's about, so you have a closed conversation, which is a collaboration at the close collaboration, as well as a wider collaboration with entire employees, as well as your closed groups as well. And next comes your workspaces, wherein workspaces and the tools wherein you are giving an employees to collaborate by way of giving a knowledge articles, or it could be based on recommended content or task, etc. So that we covered your collaboration and processes wherein you're putting your processes and procedures in one place. Then comes the third bit, which we were talking about, the solution, how it integrates the solutions, right? So you have success factor here, which is nothing but your HR, HXM system. Okay, so this system will have all your employee HR systems. It is nothing but a HXM because it covers the entire cycle of an employee, like onboarding, recruitment, performance, and your goal management, and your HR employee central, which is nothing but maintaining a core employee data. It covers all of that. So if an employee wants to apply for a leave, they can simply click on request time off here, and they can just on one click of button, without going away from the collaborative tool, they can just click on leave application, whatever the leave they want to apply, they will choose it and then submit it. Similarly, if they want to go and see their employee information, they can simply go here and see the their own employee information, like their HR details, like your employment information, the personal information, your biographical information, which is nothing but your address information, all this data they can see, right? Similarly, they can also access all the modules, which is integrated model. Why we are calling it as an integrated model? Because at one space you are accessing all the information, like your goal management system, and you're accessing your community, or your, suppose you want to go and see your goals, you can click on one button and see it, right? All your goals are available and you can perform it. And you can go and see your org chart, which is nothing but, so if you see, it is all there: payroll, onboarding, performance, everything is there, right? And you can go and see your org chart, which is a position org chart, which is a position to position relationship, and your org chart, which is person to person relationship. So your company org chart also, you can see this is nothing but part of your HR systems, right? So this way you are covering your entire work zone environment with your processes, collaboration, as well as solutions. And nevertheless, it is not the less thing, like only success factor is not the only integrated part. You can integrate your payroll systems, you can integrate your CRM system, you can integrate your other third-party systems and get the information accessible here. So it's not ending here at all. It is more as per whatever your business requirement is. We can integrate other solutions which are needed for your day-to-day in business things. You can bring them here and access. So this system is bringing all the solutions, processes, and collaborations at one place. So here we are avoiding the accessing points to employees, which is like logging into different systems, which will become a cumbersome activities for the employees to go and access. So that's all about this tool, and thank you so much. Over to you, Dan.
Thanks, AJ. That's a very thorough tour. That's pretty impressive that this system allows for all that interactive collaboration on any type of documentation you like, as well as giving you the capability to, bring in external systems that may not even be SAP related. That's quite powerful. I like that very much.
Yes, thanks, Dan. Yeah, it's really a powerful. As I was working, it is like it has so much to do. You can do whatever you want in your with your business requirement. As per your business requirement, you can go and do whatever you want. It's a brilliant tool.
Lovely. Awesome. All right. So let's bring this all together. So, I mean, we're not sure where you are individually on your own organizational journey. I mean, some companies, we look back at that slide we had from Bears and where it talked about the different purposes of technology. Some are still lots of best of breed. Some are on-premise solutions. Some don't even have solutions in certain areas. And that's where we're trying to equip you now with a tool and a little piece that you can use interactively to help you start building the business case and understand where you are. And we call it the HRSC, short for Human Resources Strategies Consulting, Digital Transformation Scorecard. This is an Excel template. You get it as a template format. You can save it and date it as today's date, then do it another month from now, or send it to a colleague and say, I'd be interested in your take on this, and you can start to bring together collective results to get a gut feel or a survey for where you actually are. So there are 3 sections into the document, and with no further ado, what I'm just going to do here, if I can.
Should I share, Dan? I have it open. I can share the screen.
I've got it right here, actually. I'm just going to drag it over.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Put it right up on the screen. So what this is just the 3 tabs to it. You can see there's a cover, there's assessment questions, and then results. They're linked together. So as you read through the instructions here and click the link, it takes you into the next section. And what we have are a series of 15 questions that are on a 5-point scale. The top 10 questions here in green are really about the HR specific module maturity index, right? So for instance, question number 1, we have a recruiting platform that manages creation of requisitions and manages the collection and processing of candidates. You do not have it. You might do this manually. You might have a limited system. It might be integrated with 1 or 2 modules, or it might be part of a full suite. So depending upon where you are with your recruitment function, you can mark this out. And I'm just going to leave it at level 4 for now. Question 2 talks about onboarding. Hey, that could be part of the same suite. That's nice. It's integrated. Then it talks about learning, and you might say, oh, wow, we have a great learning management system, and it does integrate with our onboarding, and recruitment. How about performance for goals and performance? Yeah, we're still doing that on spreadsheet. That's not so good. Career development plans, yeah, that's not so good either. Performance management data helps prepare for compensation. Yeah, we're doing that on Excel. That's not so good. A core HRIS system, yeah, we have a really good system. It's a great solid platform. Benefits management, yeah, it's built into that platform. So you can see here as you go through these questions, you're evaluating, you know, where you are in each of these specific functions and modules. Now, the last 5 questions are really about your strategy maturity. Our organization has a clear mission and goal communication plan that we use to share, and it's transparent within the workforce. Yeah, that's really good. We do that very well. Our organization believes that the employee experience is of paramount importance. We definitely do that. C-level executives at our organization invest considerable effort in strategizing and reviewing HR data. Yeah, that's maybe not so good. And I'm just making this all up randomly, of course. Question 14, our organization has a framework of competencies and skills that govern our talent management practices. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. And our HR function includes HR IT team members to help us manage talent management platforms. And I'm just going to say that's okay. So as you go through the assessment, once you've answered all the questions, again, you can just click through and you can see here what it does. It's going to give you a printout that you can share and take to your team and say, hey, from a recruiting perspective, we're a 4 out of 5, but overall on all the modules, we're really only a 34 out of 50, which is a D grade, not a great grade. Our strategy for mission, employee-centric, data-driven, that's not so bad, 19 out of 25, so we're a C grade, and then overall between our modules and our strategy, we're graded at a C minus. So this is an interactive piece. If you go back and change some of these values, you'll see that it pretty quickly the scores will change on the subsequent page. You know, now I've brought it up to a C plus and a C minus to give us a C plus overall average. So this is just a nice little diagnostic that you can deliver in a meeting with your HR team to say, let's talk about this. Where do you guys think we are in terms of digital transformation? What do we have to do? And you can actually dovetail this into a strategy session of planning for those modules and starting to roadmap what would be ideal and what you'd like to have. So that will be something that we'll be sending to you as follow-up for you to have and play with and model your own experience. So let's wrap this up. We're looking at the time here. We've gone through all the life cycles. Again, that very busy slide, onboarding, the whole circle of talent management modules, how they connected through empowering internal mobility and succession planning. We've layered in change management, and now we've talked about the touch points that exist between these different modules and the ways to leverage a work zone solution over top of them all. So if there's any comments or questions that you have, we're here to help. We can, you know, look into the chat to see if there's any. I just checked a few minutes ago and there was none to date. So we're all good.
Yeah.
But the next steps from our perspective are very simple. We can share this deck of the recording with you. You can share we will give you a copy of the, sorry, that's a typo. It should say the project change readiness audit. It should say the digital transformation scorecard. I'll fix that before we send this deck out. You can contact us to learn more about HR strategies, or you can join us for our next virtual event, which is coming up on December 14th, which is going to be about talent management analytics and how to leverage data to create vision, how talent management software provide meaningful data to review, you know, the past, focus on trends, and help predict the future. So we're going to do conventional look at reporting, conventional look at trend analysis and what's going on in your system, dashboards, and then we're going to shift it into kind of workforce analytic planning and modeling data up after that. So it is 1:55, AJ. I want to thank you for being such an excellent co-host and giving us such a great tour. I'm just going to do one final check into the comments and questions, but
there's nothing.
No, I think we're all good. So with that, maybe we will bid you all adieu and let you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a good day.